Welcome back everyone to the Working Class Revolt, and today I want to show you a couple of clips of Reform MPs Rupert Lowe and Lee Anderson really taking it to the government and raising the points that all of us are talking about at home. Now, you won't hear this off Conservatives and you won't hear this off the Labour Party, but for me, these two MPs are the most straight talking we have out of the 650 MPs, and they both just so happen to be part of the Reform Party. And I'm sure after listening to these clips, you'll agree, like I do, that these two are going to become more and more prominent in the Reform Party, and hopefully at the next general election will have prominent positions in a Reform UK cabinet. So let's take a look at the first clip of Lee Anderson at Parliament.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the Security Minister thinks there's not two-tier policing in this country, then quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, he needs to get out more. Because this report actually states that anybody who calls out two-tier policing is a far-right extremist, and grooming rape gangs are an alleged problem. Does the Minister agree?
We see Lee Anderson, Reform UK MP, and he's talking about the now infamous report that the Labour Party asked for in the wake of the Southport incident. And this report was to look at terrorism. And what Lee Anderson points out is, far from talking about Muslim extremists or talking about the situation in Southport where the very, very evil man killed the poor three little girls, instead, this government's civil servants raised the people that talk about two-tier policing as far-right extremists. So if you raise anything about two-tier policing, that's right, they're basically saying that you're going to be a terrorist. And it also used the word alleged when it was talking about Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs. Apparently it's alleged that there's grooming gangs, it's not a fact. And Lee Anderson does a good job of raising this, doing it with a bit of comedy involved, but really hitting home the ludicrousness of these Home Office civil servants. Now, we know that Yvette Cooper is kicked this report into touch, but there's a couple of things to raise on that. First of all, why did Yvette Cooper kick it into touch? Was it because she doesn't think two-tier people who said two-tier policing aren't extremists? Or does she disagree with the alleged grooming gangs and, like us, knows that there is grooming gangs? Or, which I find far more likely, is the report also said that Just Stop Oil activists were terrorists. And I think that's the real reason Labour didn't take this report on and follow the instructions. I would imagine that what they'll do behind the scenes, they will follow the instructions of treating anyone who questions two-tier policing and talks about grooming gang as terrorists, but instead it'll ignore the issues raised around organisations like Just Stop Oil. And I've done plenty of videos about Just Stop Oil, but I'll be the first one to admit, as bad as they are, and they do terror people, when it comes to things like this is Southport or the grooming gangs, they don't even come close. But the civil servants in this country are really showing the political agenda of the left. And let's not forget, these civil servants work for Keir Starmer. They would not put these things into reports if they didn't think it's what the Labour Party wanted. But of course, this report was leaked. GB News broke the news, and now they want to silence it and make it look like it's totally not related to the Labour Party. But well done, Lee Anderson, on raising this, and it should be treated as the views of the Labour Party. Well, next I want to show you a clip of Rupert Lowe speaking in depth about immigration at an MP's committee meeting. Take a look at this clip.
If you come here illegally, you will be deported. Not housed in luxury accommodation, fed and cared for at the taxpayer's expense, deported. Not allowed to roam the streets entirely unchecked, with no limits, deported. Not free to apply for asylum under whatever lie the Home Office is buying this week, deported. Removing those with no right to be here is not cruel, it's not heartless, it's necessary. Language matters. These men are not desperate asylum seekers, they are not irregular migrants, They are illegal migrants and they should be treated as such. Spreading them across the country into unsuspecting communities is pure insanity. Ask yourselves honestly, if a hotel at the bottom of your road was suddenly filled overnight with young foreign males who have entered the country almost entirely unchecked, would you be happy for your teenage daughter to go out after dark? If the answer is no, the answer is no. If you, I will give way.
Thank the honourable member for giving way. Does he agree with me that women across the country face very difficult situations working home at night, and often the tone of debate is incredibly important to maintain our safety in all situations?
I thank the honourable member for the question. I don't think the tone of the debate is in any way relevant to this. What's relevant to this is what the government does to protect the interests of the British people. So the answer is no. If you disagree, you're even more deluded than the Home Office. When I try to explore the actual cost of these hotels and the surrounding healthcare, travel, translation, recreational activities and more, I'm denied vast swathes of information by the Home Office.
Another very, very much straight talker, Rupert Lowe, another MP for Reform UK, and he's talking about deportation of illegal migrants. And I understand the position that people like Nigel Farage have took on, that we couldn't deport everybody, it would be impossible. But I do agree with Rupert Lowe and Nigel Farage that deportation must take place. And I think what we're going to see now is, through the actions of Donald Trump in America, deportation getting more normalised when it comes to criminals, and hopefully that will prompt this government, or hopefully the next Reform UK government, to take a much stronger stance. And this is something that Rupert Lowe has been championed for. And he also points out something that everybody knows, that the migrants coming over, mainly young males, are not coming from a country that's at war. They're coming from France. So they're already in a safe country when they come over here. And another point, if there is a war in your country and it's so dangerous, or you're being persecuted, as many of them claim, when they falsely claim that they might be Christians and that they're being persecuted for the religion, well, I'm sure there is some telling the truth, but I think the vast majority are lying. And the fact that what makes me think that it's not true is, what man do you know that would leave their wife and children because it's not safe and travel halfway across the world? So the truth is, these people are searching for a better life. And let's be honest, I understand why they'd want to come here, but it's our government's position, or should be the position, to protect the people of the UK. So it's true, they are economic migrants, and economic migrants trying to get a better life. But we keep being told that these economic migrants, we need them for the NHS. Well, 1/3 of people who have come over in the last 12 months are not even working. That means they're claiming benefits. So let's say the 1.2 million that come over here every single year, we're told that we need them for the NHS and farming and so on and so on. How many of those people who are coming over illegally on a boat are we really claiming are trained to work in the NHS? It is going to be a tiny, tiny amount of people. Let's not forget, most of them have been spending the last few years, who've come over a few years ago, in hotels. They're not exactly contributing as nurses and doctors in the NHS. That's just a lie that we hear off the left wing and the Liberal Conservatives. But there's one more point which I'd like to bring up, and that is the interruption. I'm not sure who it was, but it sounded very much like a Labour MP. So a lady interrupted Rupert Lowe, and she brought up the fact of all women feeling safe, and then basically trying to distract it from the migrant conversation, where Rupert Lowe was on about a hotel being filled with men who you don't know who they are. And she started talking about the language that is used. Now, in most conversations that you see with politicians, we hear this raised all the time about the language we use, and we mustn't say this, we mustn't say that, that could offend, it could make people angry and drive them to do something stupid because of the language that we use. Well, Rupert Lowe, for me, answered absolutely brilliant. That's why I love these two MPs for the straight talking. So he turned around and he just said, I don't think that the language we use is relevant in this conversation. And he just simply carried on. And that is what we must do with the left wing, who try to silence us by saying what we say is dangerous or the way that we say it's dangerous. Do what Rupert Lowe did and simply say it's not relevant, needs to be heard, and carry on regardless. But let me know what you think of Rupert Lowe and Lee Anderson. Do you, like me, think that they should be given a more prominent role in the Reform UK party? And when Reform take government, they most certainly should be cabinet members. And also let me know what you think about the migrants coming over. Have I got it wrong? Have Rupert and Lee got it wrong? Are these people not just economic migrants? And what do you think about what Lee Anderson raised, that if you believe there is a two-tier system, whether it's the police, whether it's Starmer, whether it's the courts, that you're far right, and the grooming gangs are only alleged, apparently. That's according to the civil servants of the UK. And finally, can I please ask everyone who watches this video to please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video.